and welcome back to another show from Cut from a Different Cloth. I'm joined by a special guest.
My name is Alejandro.
Awesome, thank you, Alejandro, for just being on the show today and spending the day with me. So, you know, um, where are you from? What are you currently doing? And yeah, what kind of gets you going to do your day to day? Like, take us through your day to day.
Right on, man. First of all, just thank you, Eric. We go way back. We go since like day one of kinder. And so I'm just grateful that we're connecting back and, during the end of COVID, we finally get to see each other. So yeah, so first of all, I just wanted to say thanks. And then second of all, I'm from San Francisco, from the Excelsior. I was born and raised. My mom's from SF. My dad's from Spain. And yeah, so growing up, going to Epiphany School, a lot of memories there. Stayed local, went to Reardon High School, and then as well as my older brother, my little brother, we all went to Reardon. So, and of course Eric,
Yeah,
we all followed the same path. And then yeah, and then for college, um, you know, St. Mary's was actually my first choice. I don't know if you knew that, Eric,
ooh,
but
I didn't know that, but I wanted to go there too. I loved it. I loved everything about
yeah, yeah. St. Mary's was my first choice. And I went to do the open house that they had, and I did a tour, and I just loved it, and I was like really excited, and I really wanted to go there. And so unfortunately, I got waitlisted, and so I did get into USF, and so I can't complain, right? I mean,
it.
USF is a
Right. I
good.
mean,
But yeah, so then I went to USF for my undergrad. And then, as all of you know, during my third year at USF, I became a dad. So after that, obviously my life has been a roller coaster. But
did win.
I finished USF with a business degree, and then took a couple years, working and doing what I had to do, and now I'm currently doing my master's. So yes, I'm doing my sport management master's at USF,
Yeah.
still in SF. Man, I can't leave the city as much as you try to leave the city. Your heart's always here in SF. Huh?
We're spoiled over here, man. Why would we want to? Our family's here. Everything we need is kind of here. We're definitely spoiled out here, is what I like to say. But I mean,
Mhm.
dude, and touching on what you mentioned earlier, becoming uh, a dad, that's such a beautiful thing. And a lot of my friends and family are starting their families or having just different chapters being started in their life. I know we've talked about this before. The order of life comes out of order and short. And I love what you when you mentioned that the day at the restaurant or the bar.
Yeah, I mean, we're all on this planet for different purposes. I think when someone tells you the order that you should do stuff, that's when it gets tricky because everyone deals with their own drama, stress, adversity. The biggest thing is the outcome, right? So at the end of the day, if it takes you 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, 15 years, all that experience that you had to get there, right, makes you who you are. And so some people need more time, some people need less. Like the comment I was making was, I had a kid, got married, and then no, I had a kid, got my degree, and then I got married. It's out of order. you know, but it's not any different than someone who graduated, got married, and had a kid.
Right.
Right? You at the end of the day did all three, and you do all three great. So and again, everyone has their own reasons, so you can't say that one way is better than the other. I definitely think that at age 20, having a kid was tough.
I agree.
But again, out of that, it gave me a lot of lessons in life. It matured me. And obviously getting into the detail of that is a lot. But
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for
yeah, no,
sure.
I mean, there's no different than someone finishing their degree, trying to figure it out, finding someone, getting married, and then having a kid. I mean, it's the same struggle, you know.
It's such a beautiful thing to just even that we're blessed to even have family and to grow a family. So it's just for me on the outside looking in. I'm like super excited for you. I know I always talk to you about what's it like being a dad, what's it like being a dad, and just because I'm such a curious-minded person, and like I know for when it's my opportunity, if the Lord blesses me with the opportunity to have a family, I'd be excited to be a father just as much as the next person. But and I'm always looking for I guess something to learn. Um, so I appreciate you're always being so genuine and vulnerable with me in those moments, and just respecting the conversation. So I just want to say thank you for that, because it's so cool to have that. Just because we're the young men in our group, in our neighborhood, they kind of doing our thing, but still within the neighborhood. I left, I came back, but how do I want to be seen in the neighborhood amongst our peers, amongst the we're the next people in line, the I guess along the you know
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting because I obviously, like I said, I had my kid at 20, right?
yeah.
So for me, see now some of our friends have kids, that makes me happy. I like to see that you kind of get some like you get like you're happy because you grew up with them, you see them, they build their relationship with the person, and now they have a kid. So it took me like a good 4 to 5 years to see like the first person have a kid in our kind of age.
Mhm.
And so because it's kind of funny because when I had my kid, there was no one else around me my age that had a kid, and so for me it could feel lonely in the fact that you're experiencing that by yourself. But now I see a couple other people that we know that have kids, and you're like, hey, like we can relate, what I'm saying,
We're in
like
the club. No,
we're in
like
the-
yeah,
but I love when you reach out or anyone reaches out, for not so much advice, but we talked about this. It's
yeah,
experience, right? So
yeah,
I'm not gonna tell you something if I didn't experience it, right? So I think the fact that you come to me because I'm a dad. I mean that I take that as a sign of respect too, because you know that I'm going through being a father, being a husband, being a lot of things where someone might not be going through that right now. So yeah, so I also appreciate when people reach out because I love to help.
yeah, absolutely. And you're so welcoming, and I think like there's such a genuine um warmth and humbling like aura you kind of give off. So, and I don't know, I've just known you well enough and all my life enough to you don't never put yourself in harm's way, or do anything. I mean, like I said, you and I, we don't really go out of our way or do anything extra or try to be in harm's way or put people in positions to fail or anything like that. So
Mhm.
when I talk about like your word is bond or your word is good, like I trust your word. Your word means something to me at least, so I hold it in a regard, and
Yeah.
that's good to have because we want to keep those relationships going, and it
Mhm.
just comes from good parenting. And when you mentioned too about reaching out, that's super important too, and I'm glad you said that because we're kind of growing up and trying to just everyone's figuring themselves out and who they want to be, or teeter tottering between their demons or their it's just stuff going on, but or realizations too. So it's good to just kind of like, hey, we want to receive you with just like with just we're good if you're good, like we're trying to build community out here. And starting with the basketball we've been doing all summer, it's been like a month now.
Mhm.
um, we
Oh
just
yeah.
I wanted to just get myself out of the house and call everybody up and play basketball again like we used to as kids. And it was surreal. Honestly, I enjoyed, for the people who've actually been out there with us.
Mhm.
I hope they can say the same. Like I've enjoyed every second of it. Like we just going to play pickup at Crocker Park, every week for the last 4 weeks has been super super like I guess nostalgic for me too, because we just grew up there playing basketball, baseball, soccer, everything, you name it, volleyball, like
Yeah,
everything.
no, it's interesting because during the pandemic, before the pandemic, we did those things, and I feel like maybe sometimes we took it for granted, right?
Brand, yeah.
And I we used to ball up all the time. We used to have practices there. We used to, man, I remember doing suicides at Crocker. I remember doing a bunch of things. And we got so it became such a norm. And then when COVID came, like we didn't even have access to the courts. We didn't have access to gyms. We didn't even have access to anything, right? So you start missing it. And so now it's like now we're like, remember, I think I told you, I was like, everyone wants to play basketball, like out of
Everybody
nowhere.
wanted to play, yeah.
So I think it's great to see. And going back to what you were saying about like your word is the word, like, like, I've known you my whole life. When you say something, you're gonna do it. And not a lot of people are like that, and I think I respect those type of people because, because if you're gonna put your time and energy towards something, you expect the other person to do it too, right?
Yeah,
And
like I
so
mean,
yeah, and so I really, I respect that, and you've always been like that, though. I mean, and not just in basketball and in school, and you're always as much as you probably don't even know, but you've always been in those kind of roles where you take that initiative to say, I'm gonna do it, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that. And so, as we get out of the pandemic, we need more people like that, to kind of, because we got comfortable not doing anything anymore.
absolutely.
As far as like going out and hanging out and building a team. But yeah, man, I'm happy that we're back out there and trying to get back in shape for sure.
Definitely, definitely. We've
Yeah,
been
for sure.
inside for too long, just scrubbing and relaxing too long. I mean, at least for me, like I've been trying not to, but since we've been playing basketball, it's been great. Like I've been feeling a lot better and
Mhm.
definitely like been trying to get better at basketball at the same time. I love it. You know what I mean? We grew up playing every day, so uh,
Yeah, definitely, and it's exercise. I think
yeah.
it's a
Building
good way to
community with the,
release.
I tell them like the neighborhood dude, the guys that we invite, like, just come hoop.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah.
no drama, no
Yeah,
BS.
and it's like doesn't matter if you're good or bad. I mean, I'd be airballing threes all the time.
Well, we'll definitely give you the ball. Like that's the thing. Look, we'll give you the ball. We'll put you in positions. The rest is on you. You know what I mean? But we're
It's
we're all like that at one point. Like, you know what I mean? We just needed the ball enough, I guess, or some,
yeah.
just a chance. The best thing you can give somebody is an opportunity.
Hmm.
Definitely. But
That's like a life lesson right there.
it's you know, it's true though. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? That's what happened to me in a
Mhm.
lot of different situations or like, times in my life. Somebody's given me or shown me an opportunity that they thought was good for me or not, and just been able to convert on it. You know what I mean? Like with my
Yeah.
current job, I'm grateful that
Mhm.
I got this opportunity to start there and be there, and they've kept me throughout COVID, and I've been super grateful and blessed for that. Um, you
Yeah,
know,
and it's like taking advantage of, not taking advantage, but knowing what to do with the opportunity, and not taking it for granted, and just continuing to improve and get better, and being honest to yourself, and that sticks to anything that you do in life. But definitely with your job, with your career, whatever your aspirations are in life, you don't have to be great at something in order to be to grow, to learn, right? And so I think that's always a good thing. No matter where you are, you should always want to learn, right? I think you have that mindset as well. So
definitely.
that's sometimes you don't even recognize that what you go through every day is a learning experience
Yeah.
until you sit down and think about it, right? Because our first instinct is to react and not to like take a step back. And so sometimes when you go home and you sit down and lay down and just think of everything you did during the day, you're like, wow, like I did all that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah. So
Just on
it's
autopilot sometimes,
I know, me
or
too.
just you know what I mean. Like
Yeah. You have to sometimes though. You have to be on a routine. Sometimes.
sometimes can get
Uh,
lost in the routine or lost in sauce, I guess.
no, you're right. You're right. Sometimes you're doing like 300 million things, and you feel like you can't breathe. Sometimes, not figurative, not really, right? You can breathe, but like you feel like you're swamped.
Exactly.
Um,
You
and,
you
and
get flustered.
and we're those type of people that want to help, right? Help first. And so sometimes you're helping, and then when you
Help
get
out.
home, you haven't even taken care of yourself, right? And so, but yeah, no, I definitely feel you on that one.
It's like I said, on that phone call we had, on our many phone calls we have. Um, I forgot how to phrase it, but hopefully it'll come back to me. But anyways, moving forward,
But
I want to talk about that awesome text message, that picture you sent me today. I was sitting on the chair, on the barber chair with age, and I was like, "Oh man, what do you mean?" He's like, "Guess who?" You're like, "Guess who I'm talking to today?" and then you sent me that picture. That was dope. So tell me about that. Like, who are you talking to today?
So yeah, it was Hunter Pence. I think
Tell the people who he is. Tell the people who he is.
oh yeah, Hunter Pence. Obviously, he was on the Giants, San Francisco Giants, during the championship years. I want to say the 2012 and 2014 years. Now he's like a Giants legend, great guy. He was such a great influence when he was on the team, and really well loved here in the city. And now he's getting himself back into the organization with like broadcasting and doing the pregame, postgame shows, and like
So
when
did
people,
he retire from the game?
he's retired. And the Giants weren't his only team that he played for. He played for Houston, the Phillies. He played for the Giants. He went to the Rangers. He's from Texas, so
Okay.
he was with the Rangers. He came back to the Giants. I don't know if you remember, Eric, but he came back to the
Yeah,
Giants
for a
for a
little
year, and
time.
then he retired as a Giant. So he loves SF, and it's funny enough because he just recently started doing all this sports, the Giant stuff, right? He was kind of doing his own thing, having fun, and then enjoying his retirement, and now he's back, and he's being more present
He
with the
wants to work
organization.
now.
Yeah. So long story short, I don't know if you listen to 95.7 The Game, but it's a
Not
sports
as much as I
station.
should, I guess.
No, no, you're good. Honestly, I take my daughter and my wife to school, work every morning.
Mm.
Okay. And they get tired of me because I put 95.7 The Game every morning.
Every morning.
Every morning it's sports radio. And so they get tired. They're like, "Can we put music?" I'm like, "All right." But like I love listening to sports. Like for me, sports is my passion. They'll talk about the Giants, they'll talk about the Niners, they'll talk about whatever, the Warriors.
Tell us about your master's program. You love sports. It's in sports management, right?
Yeah. Of course, yeah. My master is sport management, and so that's really such a great opportunity for anyone that loves sports and loves kind of like the business of sports, not just sports as the game, but like the business of sports. And so, but the funny thing is that this Hunter Pence situation is not related, has nothing to do with my sport management degree.
That's funny. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, maybe it's for a class or
No,
something.
no. And that's why I always think like things happen for a reason. Like,
That's awesome.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
this is great. I'm glad I asked.
so the way it happened though, real quick, I'll keep it quick and simple. Like I said, I'm always listening to the sports radio, right? So on the way back, I pulled over to put some gas, and I plugged in, put my gas thing in the car, and then I waited in the car, and then the person, the announcer on the radio was like, "Okay, be the eighth caller." I have no idea what the prize is. It's just like, call this number, eight, whatever, blah 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 blah, be the eighth caller to win. So I grabbed my phone. I'm like, boom 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 boom, pick it up, boom, you won, dude. I was like,
Hey,
oh, like information, my email, and then I'm like, what did I win? Because I had no clue what I won. And he was like, you won a Zoom call with Hunter Pence, and I was like, oh, like I was like stoked. And so that Zoom call was today, for like an hour.
oh wait,
And yeah,
man,
just
what do
a
you
Q&A, get to ask him anything you want. It doesn't have to be baseball, it could be about life. We talked about mental health. We
Mm,
talked about favorite food in SF.
mm. What
Uh,
about mental health? Because I just that's one of my
mental health.
subjects I preach on a lot about on the show. Just
Mhm.
because I've been doing a lot more like studying up for myself and applying some of the things I've learned. You know.
Yeah, I mean, sports, Eric, like sometimes it gets, hidden under them. Sorry. So yeah, so anyway, so like athletes are supposed to be perfect, right? But athletes actually have a lot of mental health issues. And yeah, he was just talking about it, things he would do to alleviate the stress, and how like sports was that for him. And, I mean, obviously it's way more detailed than just a one sentence, but yeah, I mean, it's a really good topic for people who want to get into maybe sports mental health, right?
Okay.
Or just mental health in general. I mean, we can all relate on that, a lot, especially right now.
Awesome. Awesome. So tell me about like the happiest times, like when you're with your family, like relaxing. Like when's the best? Like, what are your favorite moments? Just you three.
Honestly, man, just being together physically, and we come home and we're all tired. We have 100 million things to do, but at the end of the day, like we sit down for dinner, right? or we'll sit down to watch TV, or we'll sit, we're doing something together, or we'll go to the store to buy groceries. And so I think it's especially for my daughter, I think that's really critical. And there's people in different situations. So I'm blessed to have Jasmine on my side, and we're teaching that, and it goes back to our childhood, Eric. We were raised to respect, be a family, be united, or whatever, right? Communicate, and then
Responsibility is for.
responsibilities. Like I'm, sometimes maybe I get it from my parents, maybe sometimes, but I'm big on respecting your elders and
Yeah, the mutual, the little.
picking up after yourself. Hmm. Yeah. And so respecting, putting away your stuff after you eat, putting away your toys, putting away stuff like that. So just learning moments. And so but for us as a family, that's my best time, just being together, and just seeing her grow and and her telling us what she did in school, stuff like that.
That's awesome because she's 5 now.
She will be 5 in December.
Okay,
Yeah.
so she's going. Wow,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
that's crazy, dude. Like,
Time flies, man, when you're having fun.
I mean, absolutely, and I'm glad
Yeah,
you said
she's
that.
not a baby no more, dude. And she knows how to talk, walk, run.
She understands a lot more.
Yeah, she tells me
The
now.
sponge.
She'll tell me full sentences.
Like, no, she tells you no.
She'll tell me no all the time. Yeah, I always tell my dad. My dad had all boys. I'm like, you can't tell me how to raise a daughter,
Got all
But
boys.
no, man, she's growing. She just graduated preschool. So
Congrats.
it's all these milestones, but it doesn't stop. There's no days off. As much you want to have a day off, you can't. You know, uh, but support from both sides is critical. My wife helps me. I help her. It's definitely a mutual thing. It's not just me doing everything. It's not just her doing everything.
Yeah,
So
I mean, as as it kind of should be. You guys come equal parts. Like, kind of just put all that together and hopefully live in the abundance that you guys deserve. So
definitely,
it's just like I said, it's super great to see. I mean, at least from my perspective as a friend of yours who, or just a lifelong friend of yours who just have seen. It's awesome just to be, like I said, alongside you through the journeys, through the experiences. So it's been super cool, and we look forward to, what I mean, like whatever's next for you guys, and the future, and you building your family and things like that. So
yeah.
I think
No,
we're super grateful to have that, and what I mean, to be able to share that on the show with us, and you know what I mean. It's super good.
yeah, and for me, it's family, friends, support is huge. We were going back to mental health. There's times that you feel like that you can't do something as much as you know that you can, and as much as you think that you're always able to take care of everything. There are times that you're stuck, and you wish you had a little more help, or maybe not that. Maybe you just you feel like your life. What helps you is your support system, your family, your friends, people who kind of will say things like what you just told me to make you feel better, right? Because sometimes you're like, I'm not the type of person to be like, I'm a good person, I do all this and brag
Yeah,
about it,
we
right?
don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. And but then when people that close to you say it, and it's like you kind of get like you were saying it in one of your other videos, but you get motivation from hearing someone tell
Yeah.
you what you're doing is good. So it's just motivation, and in the long run, when people go through the same stuff, it's reciprocal. So it's kind of like people are
Mhm.
helping you, supporting you, so that when they are in that position, you support them, kind
Yeah,
of thing, right?
I
Naturally.
definitely see it, man. And the
Mhm.
older we get, the more for me, I'm learning to accept people as they come, and just kind of limit my space, my attention, my time with certain people, and with, what I mean. Obviously, it's the everyday people you see, your family,
Yeah.
your close ones, whoever it is.
Mhm.
Just learning how to set boundaries and barriers and things like that, respectfully. Not coming from. But for me, it costs my Cost me too much. I'm too busy trying to worry about, my little piece or my little, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and you see it as a big brother too.
Yeah.
It just like we were talking about this earlier too. Just because I have a kid doesn't mean that I'm the only one that goes through adversity, right? And I think sometimes that's highlighted because you have a kid, it's kind of like you're forced to do a lot of the things that you didn't think you were gonna have to do. But a lot of things people already do naturally, right? You're already your sister, you're helping your mom, your dad, grandparents, whoever it is, right? That's your family. That's people that rely, or as we get older, they rely on you more, right? And so like you're saying, like support is big, especially for your brother and sister, right? From you.
I mean,
And so I think, as you get older and older, you
I'm sorry.
yeah.
No, I
I've
just
had
like, why would I want them to go through what I've gone through? At least maybe for the same. This probably goes for a lot of different people, for a lot of people probably. Um, why would I want them to go through the same thing, or at least mentally, like why would go through these obstacles and they don't even have to go through that. They don't even have to see it. They if you just, I guess, tell them beforehand or kind of teach them understanding like how to express themselves, how to take their emotions. And that's where a lot of things come from, like the mental health and like just learning how to. I watch my cousin Emilio and his daughter. She's 3, and my aunt Denise. They really teach her very well about how to use her words and her sentences and express when she gets when she like fizzles out or like gets flustered. She starts to get really really intense, but trying to keep her her breathing,
yeah.
to express herself, her words. What does she need? What does she need to say? I think that's so important. Going back to the basics with people, almost. It's not trying to treat them like children, but in a way, we got to treat each other exactly the same kind of. And it's hard. It's hard. Not everyone you feel is going to deserve that patience, but honestly, it goes a long way when you don't let people take you out of your element. It's great.
Yeah, and it's like you said, control. I think emotional control, emotional discipline. Um, it's the same rule as when you're a kid, when you're an adult, right? It's just that when you're an adult, you're not gonna throw yourself on the floor and cry, right? But it's similar, as in like being able to control your emotions, being able to say what you're feeling, and so that's important too, though, to express how you feel. Don't keep things in, but in a disciplined way. So, and not in a way like you say will hurt you, hurt others, stuff like that. How can you express it in a respectful way? Because there's gonna be times that you're pissed. I mean, there's plenty of times
Yeah,
for that.
we let go sometimes, but it's
Sometimes,
those
yeah,
reps we need to learn from those instances where we need to like go watch film on that situation in our head or like chalk it up,
yeah, like
back.
in sports. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's why sports are so important. I feel, and I'm so glad that you continue to follow sports, because it's such a big portion of our lives. I'm realizing every day more and more at my job, between my friends, my family, how teamwork and how even if you don't agree, like
communication.
you're still gonna, doing repetitions, oh man, like doing just discipline,
Crazy.
you
It's
know,
crazy how much we learn
life
from
lessons.
sports.
I love sports, and I'm grateful for the great young fathers from the neighborhood, just like yourself, who give that time and energy and love and effort that you'd want to have or see your kid have. And I can't wait till we start coaching Epiphany kids. Like, you know, bro, I just put the seed in our head right now. But
Hey man, hey,
uh,
I used to coach. Coaching was a big part of my college years. I don't know if you know either, but I was coaching a program called Junior Dons
no, I didn't
at
know.
USF.
I know you
So
coach at Reardon. I followed your Reardon
I
career.
coached I coached at Reardon a year for JV baseball. And so those kids, you're coaching like what, sophomore, juniors
Hmm.
versus like coaching 8-year-olds. Totally different. um, and then, but yeah, like you were saying, sports has such a big relationship with life. Communication, discipline, practice makes perfect. We hear this all the things, right? It's like communication. You got to talk to your team. You can't just you can't be an individual.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's so crazy how much it relates to life. And then time management. You're going to school and you work, but then you have to be a brother or you have to be a dad. So, which is why I chose sport management, because for me, it's like I did business and I love business, but I love sports, right? And it's not just like I love the game of sports, but I like the details that make it a business. So yeah, so that's why I went into sport management.
I know. I'm glad,
Yeah.
you shared that. And for people who are interested in that field, or teeter tottering between doing so, what can you tell, maybe a young version of you or a young self that's in between following that route, or what would you say keeps you chasing that kind of love for that field or for that subject?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think one thing is that when we overthink that we don't know a lot of a certain thing, that's when it can go downhill. I think one thing that I learned is we all met and have a connection with a lot of people through sports. Now, this is specifically if you love sports. Some people do sport management and don't really want to pursue a sports career,
Yeah.
but they do sport management because in sports, it's not just sports people, it's business, marketing, finance. It's a whole thing, right? And so
More of a template you can apply different
yeah,
fields in, because the
that,
administrative, the discipline, the documenting, the tracking, reporting, it's all the
everything
same thing as a business. Just it's a tool,
legal.
machine.
Yeah.
You know?
And then so when I started the sport management program, there was a lot of stuff that they were saying, people that they were mentioning, and you're like, wow, I know a lot of these people, or oh, like, you had to write papers on how did this influence this, or name a situation where this happened here, and you're like, I experienced this naturally. Like you can't make this up. Like my papers became so easy to write in my first class because of the experiences I had coaching, playing, like playing I played my first year at USF, and there's a lot of experiences that you come with that, right? And you're like, wow, this is natural. Um, so that's why I think number one, if you love sports
Mhm.
and you love kind of interacting with people and learning and meeting new people, I think it's a great introduction to a career in any type of field, honestly. And so right now my goal is to work for a professional sports team.
Okay.
So my goal is to work for the Giants or the Warriors or the Niners. That's just a big goal, right?
I hope they're listening. I hope they watch this, because they need you. I got the perfect guy right here for whatever it
Yeah,
is you
but
need.
you know what I learned about this with sport management is patience. Because a lot of times we want the job now, and we want that position now. And what we sometimes don't realize is that
You gotta
there's
earn it.
100 million more people that have the same type of experience that you do or more. So you have to continue learning and growing. So I got lucky. I don't even know if you know this, Eric, but I'm actually doing a part-time job also, as a business manager for the husband of Alyssa Nakin, who is the female coach of the Giants.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So and like I said, I met Rob, who's the CEO of his baseball organization, through coaching like years back, and he really really loved my work ethic. I loved his no First of all, I loved his work ethic. I love the way he coached. I love the way he mentored. And in my when I was doing my podcast, it's like a year and a half ago, I brought him in for an episode,
Yeah.
and we talked about similar stuff that we're talking about now. And one of these days, we just were talking, or like a couple months ago, we were talking. He invited me to his house. Really great guy. We were drinking Modelo, we were
It was a
just
good time.
chopping it up. And he was like, you know what? I actually need. I was thinking I need support in some like business plans, and I need help with this. And I was like, oh, like I would love to help you, you know? And he was like, perfect.
I mean,
Literally
I mean,
started the next couple days with him.
perfect.
And so we meet every week we meet, and we're building on his business, and I'm learning a lot, and really grateful, because it ties into my master's. And so yeah, just getting yourself out there, man, and not being afraid, just to
I
use your connections that you already have, because a lot of them want to help you.
triple down on your resources
Mhm.
and the, the friends and family that you. But here's what I tell a lot of people say it's who you know, not what you know. But you
Yeah,
got to know what you're getting
yeah,
into, or at least if you're whatever opportunity you're trying to get put onto, or whoever you're trying to get in front of. Like you got to know it's who you know with what you know and what you want to do. I feel, which is kind of the unspoken thing too.
mhm, mhm.
Oh, that reminds me. There's like, have you ever heard of the whole phrase, jack of all trades, master of none? But there's a whole other line to that.
Mhm.
And it's really, really cool because, I always thought that I was kind of like that. And here, let me pull it up for you because I thought it was really good.
No, yeah.
Bear with me here, guys.
Let the world know. Let America know.
No, you gotta know. It says the complete saying was originally a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
Mhm.
So we're still
Wow.
kind of like as resourceful or just kind of end up figuring out. And
Mhm.
that's what I kind of liked when I heard it. I thought it was so important that people should have heard this because
Yeah,
I always thought there was like, okay, that's it. Well, I guess I can do a lot of good things, but not good at everything because I am kind of like that. I like to do a lot of different things
of
or at
course.
least try because I'm
So
just so curious minded or I have that why can't I mentality or like, well, why couldn't I do that or why not? Like, not because of,
yeah.
oh, I'm
Well,
gonna be
it's
better
interesting.
at you or nothing, but it's
Mhm.
just more like, oh, why couldn't I try? Or maybe it'd be what I'm good at, or maybe I like it.
Interesting because
So I think that mentality is super important to have.
yeah, one of the questions for 100 pence today was, what's your advice for a younger kid that doesn't know what to do? Like kind of similar to what you're saying, wants to do multiple things. And what he said was, do everything. Like,
Mhm.
don't limit yourself.
No,
Do everything. And what you're gonna realize is that you're good at something and you're better at something. So just then focus on what you're better at, right?
a lot of people tell me do one thing, to get good at one thing, and then get good at the next thing. I do believe
Yeah.
in that, but for
Mhm.
some odd reason, I naturally gravitate to different things, and I may have some beginner's luck or maybe some natural talent, but it's really cool to see what else you could actually do. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Because
It's really awesome.
you don't want to be the person that says you can't do something because you're limiting yourself. But but going back to everything, it's like it's also the effort that you put in, right? And it's like, not that you're using your resources, but there's a reason why they stuck to you. There's a reason why you stuck to them. So you created that resource. Once you've already created that, then that's when you can build, right? But there has to have been a previous something that you did that caught their eye. You know what I'm saying? Like, Rob, his name's Rob. He told me like that I was a great worker and I did it. I was great work ethics, and it was vice versa. Like I respected how he coached, and so because of that, like we wanted to work with each other,
Yeah,
right?
there's a
Um,
mutual respect and
yeah,
understanding that you
yeah,
gain. I love when I appreciate someone's craft or work ethic because once you get to that level, it's kind of like an unspoken, like, oh man, I trust in that or the credibility is there. Like,
mhm.
somebody that keeps their regard, like,
Yeah, and you want to see that other person succeed just as much as you want to see yourself succeed. And so Rob's older than me, but he has a lot more experience than me, and he's really great at baseball and he's really great at coaching. So in my aspect, I even told him like I want to learn from you. I want to from Alyssa for whoever, and it's like I want to build off of that. And he even told me that he's like don't people say don't use your resources, but he's like I say the opposite, like use them. Like they're here to help you. And so that for me was like that I can't be timid. I have to reach out. I have to ask. I have to want to grow.
Closed mouth doesn't get fed, Alan.
Yeah. And no, honestly, like
Yeah.
the older, and then but we come from like humble backgrounds, right? So we don't want to,
I know, I know.
we don't want to do that sometimes because
We
we
gotta
want
help ourselves sometimes, man. We gotta help put ourselves
to
in
have to.
position and play. You
Yeah.
know, ask maybe for some PT or just take that PT. Like put ourselves in the field, and make that play because no
Yeah.
one's looking out for us better than ourselves. So
You know, it's funny in my first class at USF, leadership. You would have loved this class, Eric. It was leadership and critical thinking. That was the first class in
well,
my sport
we
management,
did mention the critical thinking aspect. Yeah, yeah.
and I felt that was such a great class, like for any person, like any field, for any field, not just in sports.
What
So
would you say is the highlight of that class? Like if you could maybe give us a little bit of it, like a
yeah, I mean, just learning more about yourself, like I said, and how much more you know than you thought you know. So so like for example, there's no prompt. You're supposed to write a paper with no prompt. You know what I'm saying? And that you're used to like knowing what to write. So it's like use your sports experience to write a paper, and you have to write it, and you make up the thesis. You make up, So like I had to like think on my feet and use my situation or whatever. But biggest thing is like what you were saying is no one's there to feed you. So my professor would say, no one at the end of the day, no one cares about your problems. Like at the end of the day, right?
I mean,
It
it's
sounds so harsh.
that's
So
what
and
it sounds.
it sounds bad, right? But at the end of the day, like you're your biggest advocate. And another thing I learned in that class is that it only takes one. He was saying one job opportunity, one application, one whatever, one interview, right? One chance to make it, and then keep growing from that chance, right? So people make it seem like it's very complicated to get into whatever field you want to get into, but he says if you minimize that, and it just takes that one chance, just one, right? You just have to, whoever's reviewing the resumes has to look at yours. You know what I'm saying? And so it's that
Absolutely.
simple. And so yeah, that class kind of like it builds discipline on how to use your connections, reaching out. So like right now I do random informational interviews with people, kind of like what you're doing right now. You
Yeah.
just talk to them and learn what they're doing. Is this a job you would want to do? What's the best part of their job? What's the worst part of their job? Like Alyssa Natkin, I had an informational interview with her too, and I told her the same thing. Like, what's the favorite part of coaching? What's the least favorite part of coaching? And they tell you, and then you build that relationship and stuff. So,
I think
um,
that's so cool, dude, because I can only imagine what that could. I'm super curious to see how that your career takes off with sports in general, and
yeah.
we're rooting for you, as far as you need to go. Like we'll support you. Where can we find some of that content and so the viewers can see or myself? Is it out or like how do we
Well,
see that?
I mean, yeah, I mean, nothing is like recorded.
Okay.
Um, so I could send you, I can send you maybe some notes or maybe my paper, or I can send you something I wrote. I could try to find if I have an audio of like one of my interviews,
Okay.
because I've done interviews with like the marketing director for the Giants. I've done even you probably know him, Miguel Guerrero.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
he works for the Warriors, so I did an interview with him, and so you learn a lot.
I wanted
Honestly,
to reach out to Raf.
Raphael, yeah. Like we all we all know people who has had an influence or is doing a specific thing, and so I think like for example what you're doing here is great, just because you're tapping into people's knowledge that they don't even know, right? It's like
It's
when do I sit down and talk about this?
it's
you
crazy
know?
to see what people. I'm curious. I want to interview everyone. Like after I interview as many people as I do, I want to do a follow up interview and see
Mhm.
like and ask.
Update.
Since we've interviewed, what have you learned anything or applied anything from what we talked about, and kind of just follow up and
Mhm,
see how people have taken it. I'm curious, and I'd love to do that.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, no,
keep
I think that's a
on
great.
going. I'm gonna do this forever. Like this is I'm slowly loving, I guess, journalism, or
That's
I'm
good.
slowly manifesting my dream of becoming. I love the Travel Channel growing up.
Really?
I
Wow.
religiously watched the Travel Channel, and Andrew Zimmerman, Anthony Bourdain, and
Oh, yeah.
R.I.P. Um,
Food,
I think
food
there's
channel.
a film coming out about him, or
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Andrew
a big
Zimmern.
fan.
Yeah.
If anyone watching this would love to sponsor or like have me, or just just have me over, receive me to try things, or I'm a big fan of that culture, and like Man versus Food too. I love that dude.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I just loved everything about the fact that people got excuse me, like a true understanding of the
Culture.
culture and the camaraderie, the love, like over food, and culture and conversation, good company, good food, and quality. And I'm just a big fan of happy people willing to share, because I'm so ready to share and receive. So because when people come to San
It would
Francisco,
be
I
a
take them
perfect.
around. Like I just love. I hope I can be that personality, or um, I'm shooting for that. So
You would be a perfect person for those type of shows. Honestly,
I'd love to do that, man.
you would have your own travel show, and you're just out there like instead of food, maybe it's the wines
Yeah, I'd
or
love to do anything and everything.
anything.
Honestly,
Yeah, that's
I,
good, man.
everything.
You definitely have the what's the word, the energy, the positive energy for it. Not everyone could do. Not everyone wants to be talking to everyone and wanting to like it takes a lot of energy for you to want to be there, want to be present in people's life. Like I think sometimes you need people like that in your life. And
I'm just so
um
interested in people. I'm just so interested in like what you can and what you can do, or what you love to do, or how you do
yeah,
things. And
and it's natural for you. Like that's the biggest thing. I don't think you're like scripting anything, like what I'm saying, like
right on, no,
um
right on.
yeah, but
Honestly, it's just I wear it on my sleeve, man. Like I just.
real hasta la muerte.
I'm so glad you said that, bro. I knew there was gonna come in there one
Was
time.
able,
Oh,
I
man.
had to think the perfect time for that.
Oh my God, you had to slip that in there too, as we're closing in on the final moments of the show.
Yeah.
Shout out to Anuel.
But
Hey, shout out to French too.
oh, it's always a good time, man. Honestly,
Hey,
like
my man's really called you French Montana on the
French Montana, hey
interview
man,
last week. I was
that's
dead. You didn't hear it, bro? You didn't hear it? My
I was focused, man. Trying to
No,
get
I
my
know you
thought
were
right.
locked in, but bro, oh
Uh,
my God, it was on the switch. It was on the inbound, and we coming back.
that's hilarious, man. Next
It
time if
was.
we play them again, I'm gonna just slap some French. I'm gonna slap some French when I walk into the court.
I talked to the ref, Nick, the dude that was there last, and he's
Oh,
like,
you
I
can
can bring
slap
my
me.
speaker. So
I think that's what we need.
I'm gonna. That's what I'm saying. We always ball with music at Crocker. We're always balling with music. So
Yeah, we were off. Our rhythm was off. You know what I'm saying?
dude, we got off cold. That was a cold start for a lot of. Ooh,
Yeah.
but anyways,
It's always a good time, Eric, and I appreciate it. And like there's a lot of things that we all go through, and sometimes it's nice to sit down and talk about it,
yeah,
because at the end of the day we're all trying to make it, and you want to surround yourself with like-minded people, but not only that, people that want to see you grow and succeed. And so I think that's really
like I
important.
clap for you, dude. Like I want people to clap for me, and
Yeah,
when no one's looking, and just be smiling for me too, and I'll smile for you, because
yeah,
like I don't want anything from anyone that I can't get myself. Like, and I'm happy with myself. I'm at peace. Like I know what what I need to do for myself, or we're like you said, we're our biggest critic, our biggest from
hmm
having this responsibility, and our parents not letting us not follow our rules, and what I mean, just be that person we need to be, and instill it in us. So
hmm
I'm really grateful we're able to have this conversation and highlight these topics, because
yeah.
it's so important. And I hope all the people who see this can just maybe have faith and believe, or maybe this relight someone's faith, or someone's man, that there's still people out there that value the small things, the respect, the value in things. So with that
The-
being said, man,
yeah,
um, I'm gonna let you close out here with some final things. If you have any shout outs or gems or fun facts you need to let us know, or where we can even find you or locate you, or if anyone has any questions about what you are doing in your field or your
Yeah.
your higher education.
Yeah, yeah. You can I have my Instagram obviously. It's since like high school. It's air_Madrid.
Madrid.
Uh, but yeah, and if anyone needs my number or wants to shoot me a DM, if anyone's interested in sport management or just like going through, if someone's becoming a father, no. No, no, but honestly, like, one last thing I just wanted to say, the biggest takeaway from everything, right, that we're talking about, as much as you can be your biggest enemy, you can be your biggest advocate
Mm,
as well.
yeah.
Um, no one's gonna be there at the end of the day, right? Um, so the biggest thing is just be your biggest advocate. Be
Mm.
your biggest advocate. Give yourself that shot. And there's always going to be people out there rooting for you. So, so that's my last thought. And thank you, man. I appreciate it, and I hope everything keeps going well with you, bro. And we'll be seeing each other all the time.
We got a game in 2 days.
We got a game. What are we,
We got
what
a
am I
game.
doing? I should be running right now.
I know we didn't even have. We should hoop tomorrow. Can you hoop?
we should. Honestly, I should.
We should hoop
But
tomorrow again if you're down. But all right, we'll follow up after off camera. But thank you, Ale.
thank you, Eric. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man. All right, hold on, let me press that.